Cedric on a certain topic, and he'll take a video for us and we'll show that to you on the live stream. We'll describe it for anyone who's just listening as well, and you'll be able to watch again on Naver V Live and YouTube. And Cedric's beside me. How you doing, buddy?
I am doing wonderful.
Good. I saw you on a live stream on YouTube over the week. Was it the weekend?
It was the weekend. It was last Saturday.
With Becky, who's been on our show as well. Mm-hmm. What were you discussing on there?
We were just discussing mainly our 2020 goals.
Okay.
Personally and professionally. And
what's your 2020? What's your biggest goal?
My biggest goal is to really get my business established.
Okay.
And up and running, really.
Oh, nice. A business doing like YouTube related things?
YouTube is a part of it. It's, I guess the umbrella of the whole thing would be just a videography type of business. And also photography business. And Becky will be helping me with that. We're actually doing this together. So
that's cool. So like filming videos, taking photos for other people as well?
That is correct.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so hoping to really grow and expand that this year and take on some pretty good clients.
Good luck, Cedric. And I hope I can afford to be a client as well, because my video editing skills, as the few people who do subscribe to me on YouTube will know, are lacking somewhat. So hopefully, I can scrabble together my kids' piggy banks, steal their money.
Listen, I'll hook you up with a little discount.
A Daily K discount.
Yeah.
That sounds good. I know some of our listeners were on board as well. I hope you enjoyed that live stream. Morgan's up on board on V Live. Horatio saying, hello, Arirang. Wow, amazing. You guys are number one fighting. Oh, that kind of support really does help. Halfy Proggy Becky. Halfy Proggy?
Proggy?
Well, you're saying halfy, so let's say Proggy as well. Becky seems to be on board too. And there's today's hashtag, which is culture or munwa. This is quite a broad one, and it's what our show is all about, Korean culture. What are some of your favorite aspects maybe of Korean culture and American culture, if you have to pick out like one from each?
Okay, so Korean culture, I think one of my favorites would be, and I don't know how much of it is prevalent today in the younger generation, but the respect for older, like the elderly.
Okay.
I don't want to just say respect for like someone who's older than you, because that can be kind of iffy. And
some people abuse that. If they're like even just a month, but it's born in a different year, they'll be like, I'm your chong, you respect me, don't talk back at all.
Exactly. But, I grew up with my mom and my grandmother, her mother, in the house. And as my grandmother, prior to her passing away, as she was getting up there in age, my mom would just really respect, and not only respect, but take care of her. And she felt like it was her duty.
Of course, it's the Korean culture, right? And I love that as well. I think you're really right. It's a different feeling. Like, I'm sure many people in the West are respectful to their grandparents and that kind of age.
Absolutely.
But there's just more of a reverence towards your grandmother or grandfather here, and it's so lovely to have that feeling.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, British grandmother, but I love my Korean grandmother so much more.
Oh, wow.
Because my British grandma was very kind of British in the way that she was a bit standoffish, not so emotional. I don't think she hugged me properly ever in my life. Like, it was a kind of hug from a distance from time to time.
I see.
And my Korean grandmother was completely the opposite. Like my mother, basically, just an older version of my mother. That's
very
a nice
much
one.
so.
What about from the US, if you had to pick out some culture you like or dislike?
Sure. Well, let's stay a little positive here. I can go about the dislikes all day, but I would say to contrast what I did say about Korean culture, I do like the freedom and flexibility of being your own person.
Okay.
In the West, that's more of a culture to be more individualistic, and I like elements of that. I don't like that completely.
Sure.
I'm still a little conservative culturally in some ways, and I still like the collectivistic culture, but I like the fact that you can just be your own person, have your own style. Essentially, you can be respected as your own, as an adult.
Yeah, this is true. I mean, it's getting more and more possible in Korea to do that, to be more independent, wear what you like, believe in what you like. But it's still lagging behind, I guess, the West, where really you can do anything, say anything, and you're free to do that in society.
Yeah.
I think the States is one of the places which is really famous for that, right? Why many people move over to the States as well. Charles Rillera also got on board with the culture hashtag, saying, I grew up in British and Filipino cultures, but there's something about Korean culture that is worth appreciating. The food, the fashion, language, the people, and more. Yeah, that's all part of this Hallyu Korean wave, which, to be honest, me and Cedric are benefiting from living here as foreigners as well. Durangi also say, honestly, I love Korea because of lots of their philosophies. A lot of it comes from like Confucian beliefs as well, like linked Korean traditions, and I think it's a really good mix. Today's topic, Cedric, what are we going to be talking about?
We're going to be talking about Korean bakeries.
Korean bakeries.
Yes.
Fan?
Oh, of course.
Okay,
Of
good.
course. What about you?
Yeah, I love it. I've seen, I don't know about the States, but in the UK, like bread is such a big deal. You eat bread almost maybe twice a day if you're having a sandwich at lunch, and then toast for breakfast as well.
I see.
And so at the supermarket, you'll have a whole aisle dedicated to bread, like a long aisle with so many different types.
Sure. Very similar to the States. Whenever you go to any sort of grocery supermarket, usually there's a lot of different types of breads.
Yeah, loads of different types. So you've got loads from different kind of ethnicities as well. Like there's a whole Jewish bread section. I'm not Jewish, but I used to love Jewish bread. They had this challah bread with like poppy seeds on top, and it kind of looked like a plaited hairstyle. And that was my favorite bread growing up. And my mum would be like, you should be Jewish. You eat way too many Jewish things. Like the matzah bread, the crackers as well was really good. But here in Korea, I don't think they have such a long history with bread.
No, it doesn't seem like it, especially at supermarkets. You're very limited in at least the everyday type of bread, like loaves of bread.
Yeah.
You really just have white bread, and you'll be hard-pressed to find even wheat bread in some of these places. So it's just like one or two types of bread that you'll find in normal markets, like the toast kind where you can make toast and just maybe your standard white bread.
Yeah, and so the culture that we're looking at today is the bakery culture. And so it kind of doesn't make sense. There are so many bakeries in Korea, and then they have loads of like cool little different types of pastries and breads and donuts, and I go crazy. I'm sure it's not good for your health to eat so many of these.
Right.
So what's the first video going to show?
So the first video, I'm just going to show you just random different types of bakeries.
Okay.
And so let's just take a look.
All right.
So this one, the first, we're going to start out in the subway stations. Now, a lot of the subway stations here have different types of bakeries.
In the stations
In the
themselves,
station.
underground. It's quite amazing. This trend hasn't been around that long, I don't think.
Oh, really?
Maybe like 5-6 years. And some of them just freshly bake their bread underground as well.
Right. And this is just a little bonus here because I passed by one. Just
the
wanted to show you
convenience
guys.
store.
Yeah, the convenience stores always have a little bakery section.
Yeah, with
cheaper
bread that
breads.
maybe lasts a long time as well. I'm worried about the preservatives in them.
Right. And this one's actually in my neighborhood.
Okay, this
I
is
go
like
here a lot.
a normal kind of bakery feel, right?
Yeah.
Lots of different breads there. Lots of black breads with the squid ink inside, right?
Yes.
You can't really taste it, I don't think.
I've never tried it because I'm allergic to squid.
That's good. There's also squid ink pasta you shouldn't go for then.
Right. And if you guys saw that little empty bowl, a lot of these bakeries have little samples, free samples.
Yeah, some people go a bit overboard and eat way too many. I get angry when I see someone take like 5 pieces and there's none left for me.
You know, power tip, if you guys are broke and hungry, go during lunchtime, and just kind of sample.
In the supermarket, right?
In supermarket, or in a bakery, or if you're really creative, just go to 2 or 3 different places.
Yeah.
There you go.
You
There's
can
your
have
meal.
like samples of a starter, main course, and a dessert as well. Good tip. So that last one is the real typical bakery. You'll have the cake section, like in the glass kind of fridge at the front.
Right.
And then lots of different breads, many of them savory and sweet at the same time as well. The sandwich segment, in my opinion, is a bit lacking because in the UK, again, sandwiches is such a big industry. You have so many different fillings and options. But here, usually there's maybe like an egg salad one, a BLT, and not too much else.
Yeah, that's very true. So I would have
seems-
to agree with you on that. Even
Yeah.
in the States, there's more options.
Yeah, it seems maybe the sandwich shops are like a separate thing to bakeries. Like you've got the Way of Sub chain from the States here, which does quite well at the same time. What's your favorite bread from a Korean bakery then, Cedric?
Well, I have a lot because I love bread, but I would say any of the donutty types
Okay.
of breads.
Do you like the chapsal donut? You know, it's the kind of chewy one.
Yeah, it's a little bit more traditional style, a little bit older. Like our parents' generation would love those type of desserts. Yeah, I like those.
I'm appreciating them more and more as I get older. And the guabegi, you know, the twisted one.
I love those too.
That kind of tastes like a regular just ring donut to me, like in the UK.
It does.
Texture's a bit different.
And
but
usually it's a little greasy to me.
Yeah. A lot of the times they'll deep fry it fresh and then dip it in the sugar. Oh, it's good. It's not good for your body though. We got something from Yana in Malaysia. Oh, this looks quite interesting.
Okay, sandwiches, you guys win.
Yeah. What is that in there? It looks like some kind of deep fried onion ring or fish or chicken or something like that. You say bread in Malaysia, not as big as rice, but bakery stores can be found anywhere, especially in every mall. Oh, is that like a little egg tart? I don't like that when the egg is not mixed
It's
inside.
actually, there's actually an egg on top.
Yeah, it just looks like a poached egg has been put in there. You also say in Malaysia, they've got lots of types of bread, so good too. And I remember seeing in Seoul, Roti Boy. Have you ever been to that chain?
I have not, I don't think.
It's like a kind of mocha bun which is filled with melted butter. It was really trending about 10 to 12 years ago. You could buy like a box of 6. Again, very greasy, very buttery, but it's really delicious. But apparently roti means bread in Malaysian. I didn't know that was a Malaysian chain.
Ah, okay.
Check it out. If there's still ones around, Cedric, I highly recommend it. Let's get to a song break. We've got some more from our listeners as well to show you, as well as Cedric's second video. And let's listen to Har Samuel featuring Jongin, Sandwich. We're back for part 2, K-Time Playtime. Cedric's in the studio. The topic is bakery culture in Korea. As we mentioned earlier, bread is not maybe a traditional thing to eat in the country, but there are so many bakeries. Coffee shops, I'd say, are number 1, and then bakeries would probably be in the top 3 of what's next on the high street, right?
I would agree.
And there's lots of them that also have coffee shops kind of within them. You can buy a coffee and eat some bread together and just have it as a snack at lunch and stuff like that. What are bakeries like in the States? Is it a common thing to see on the high street?
Well, growing up in North Carolina, there weren't many bakeries around. And if they were more like actual bakeries that weren't open to the public. You actually bake bread, I guess, to manufacture or to outsource to, restaurants or chains.
That's interesting.
Yeah, but I mean, there were a couple of stores here and there that would actually bake bread, more so like actual bread instead of pastries.
Okie dokie, yeah, not the sweeter stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah, in the UK as well, it was almost exclusively when I was growing up, at least in London, the supermarkets themselves would have their own bakeries in-house, and they bake lots of like fresh loaves and baguettes and stuff like this. Sometimes croissants if they were pushing the boat out, and then they'd have like a separate cake and pastry segment, which would be completely different from the normal bread segment. I don't think there were many bakeries. I mean, there's one chain in the UK called Greggs, which got popular, but they sell things like sandwiches and sausage rolls. That's kind of the main thing. So I was taken aback by how many bakeries there are in Korea and how many different chains as well. Like big companies getting behind these chains as well. Lots of ones named after Paris something, right?
Right. Which is another interesting thing. I feel like a lot of the bakeries found their inspiration from Paris.
Yeah, perhaps. You went recently.
I did.
Was the bread similar there that you tried?
Some was similar, but obviously I felt like it was more authentic in Paris. And usually I think they were bigger.
Yeah.
And it just tasted different. It had a different feel. And I would have to say that I enjoyed the Paris breads a lot better.
Yeah, I think that a lot of the Korean breads, they are made to be more stimulating, and sometimes that can take away from like the original flavor of the bread and stuff like that. A lot of it is very sweet or very savory, and a lot of what they put inside, they pack it with stuff. You've got those korokke that we call here, that are filled with like japchae or some chicken curry or something like that. They're really good.
Yeah.
But I've not seen those in Paris, despite being in a Paris shop. Lots of messages as well. Yana says, sandwiches, we usually do it ourselves in Malaysia because our white bread here is so fluffy and good. The loaf is cheap to buy, and then we just make it at home. That's the thing that you do a lot in the UK as well, make your own sandwiches. Here in Korea, I'm not so sure if that's a thing to do in the kitchen.
Right, that's true. I used to make sandwiches a lot growing up. Raul says over where he is, some bakeries are very simple. They sell bread and other baked items, and they're just as well presented over there as they are here in Korea.
Oh, cool. We've got one from Hartley who says, Panera is where folks in these parts mostly go for bread-based foods, not necessarily pastries. Panera is a type of
Panera.
bakery? Or?
Well, it's a chain restaurant.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, and I miss Panera. I used to go there a lot.
What do they sell? Like breads?
Yeah, bread, soups, sandwiches, salads, that type of thing. It's a sit-down restaurant.
Hartley also says, my favorite introduction to Korean culture was the drama Bread, Love and Dreams. See how I stitched that all together? Absolutely talented, Hartley.
Yeah, Charles is on a diet, so he's getting very hungry. So let's just keep talking about food.
I'm getting more and more hungry looking at these photos being sent in as well, because I'm skipping breakfast still these days, and I used to love a little slice of toast in the morning. Cam also says there's a few big bakeries on the way to work, and you can smell the bread baking early in the morning. There's nothing like that smell of fresh bread, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, so good.
Okay, and Syska says P. Biget is her favorite in Korea.
Okay.
Anyway, she mentions that she can't find the bakery that you had mentioned, maybe to her personally.
The Kim Young Beep. It's run by a lady, I think, who went to Paris to study bread.
Okay.
And it's kind of artisan here. It's quite expensive, but they do some great breads. Mm-hmm. Some of my favorites are like the Mont Blanc bread, which is one of those really sweet pastries that kind of rips off in a circular manner. Oh, so good.
I think you're going to actually see some in this next video as well.
Ooh, lovely. So in video number 2.
Video number 2, I just go to 2 other places. And the first one is actually not your traditional bakery, but we thought it'd be fun to show you.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and take a watch.
A hot dog truck that is not a truck, but a store.
It's not even a truck, right.
Wow. So the hot dogs on a stick here are really popular. What you call corn dogs, right?
Corn dogs in the States, yeah.
And that's kind of bread on the... Well, it's definitely bread on the outside, isn't it?
Yeah. And really, it's fried. You're not really baking it.
No, yes.
To be honest. But
even worse for you.
But it was really fun to eat.
And they do sell those sometimes in the bakeries or some kind of sausage-breaded product, right?
Right. Very similar to croquet, like you were mentioning, like the croquet products.
Some of them sometimes have French fries on the outside as well, deep fried together.
Right. And this is an Artisan bakery right here.
Ooh.
So this felt a little bit more authentic. You saw it, right?
Yes.
This feels a little more authentic. So in Korea, you usually grab a tray and some tongs and just have at it.
It's so cool and convenient to do that. Oh, chocolate-covered croissants.
That's for you. That's for you.
That's mine.
And some sandwiches, a couple of different
They sometimes
variations.
have some red bean filled breads as well. The pad. I'm not a massive fan of that.
Oh, really?
What's that white thing there? It kind of looks like a baguette, but not like a baguette.
So that is a pretzel, buttered pretzel.
Oh,
right.
In
and
like
the other,
a long bread form.
Yeah. And the other one was it was kind of like a cinnamon toast.
Ooh.
I guess it was fried
That
bread.
sounds
Very, very delicious. Very sweet.
Good as well. That I've seen what you showed at the end, that pretzel bread, and sometimes other forms of bread. It was a trend from maybe 18 months ago, and it's still going strong. You put a big slab of butter and then the pat on top as well.
Yeah,
the red bean together. I don't know.
I've seen those, and I've actually tasted it because I do like red bean, but it's just too much. I guess filling. It's just
it must be the creamy butter and then the kind of creamy pat as well. There's a lot to consume there, right?
Yeah, I feel like it's just totally horrible for your health.
Going overboard, yeah. I'm so starving. Lenny, hopefully you can show us some disgusting bread from Indonesia, but I'm sure it's going to be delicious, so I'm going to get more hungry. This is your video.
Okay.
You could kind of imagine that in Korean bakeries, although it's usually not pre-packed in plastic. Like you said, you get the tray and stuff. Oh, some rainbow-like cake or something.
Oh, what is that? Looks like little mandus.
You get mandus in the bakery?
I'm sure they're probably sweet, desserty, but...
Some donuts as well.
Oh, they might be bagels.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, what are they?
They could be, because they don't look that sweet.
Oh, no, they're donuts.
Yeah, with the chocolate on top, you can tell. That looks cool. Quite similar, I suppose, to bakery culture in Korea. Apart from the mandus, I've never seen mandus in a Korean bakery. Although those karaokes we described earlier are basically like giant breaded mandus,
Right.
I guess. Look delicious. Thank you for that. We've also got some photos from Cam Cam in the States as well. This is Colombo's delicatessen since 1986.
This is going to be good. I already know it.
It sounds good. The menu looks extensive.
Okay.
What are they? Some like hunged dried sausages?
I have not seen those or had those.
Wow, it looks like some kind of cured meat, which is quite popular in the UK and France as well. That bread looks nice. Dutch crunch. Is bread fairly reasonably priced in the States?
I would say so.
Like I've found here, sometimes when I'm buying a loaf, which is actually half a loaf in size to the UK, it can be like 5,000 won, which is like $4 or $5. In the UK, a loaf of bread would often cost you £1 or two, which is maybe 2,000 won,
right,
or 2,500 won. So my mum goes mental because she loves bread, and she's like, "Why is it so expensive to buy bread here?" I think it's a bit more pricey in the country.
Right. And, you know, this is reminding me of my time I spent in New Jersey, up north in New York City. There were a lot of delicatessens over there. Yeah. And, man, the sandwiches are unreal.
Deli sandwiches, right?
Unreal.
I need to market that in Korea. I think it would be quite popular to have some deli sandwiches, right? Cam Cam in his message also says they've got the best salami I've had. That's what we saw hanging up. And you get a loaf of Dutch crunch and make your own sandwiches for later on in the week. Sounds amazing. Let's get to some more music. We've got some more from Syska and Rao to show you in part 3. This is EXID, Honey's Solo with Uyu Milk. 3 of K-Time Playtime. It's bakery culture in Korea that we're talking about today. Jonathan has got in touch from Malaysia saying one of my favourite places to have bread is the Baguettes of Paris chain in Seoul. I know it's a little bit commercialised, but they have this window view that I like. Usually I'll pick a spot there and do some people watching. It is such bliss. They've obviously often got a nice site on the high street in some prominent areas. So yeah, just having a coffee and some bread.
Yeah.
Lovely and relaxing.
Yeah, and the cool thing is we actually had 2 of those in New Jersey, those chains.
Really?
In
the
States.
Korean one?
Yeah, because I lived in Koreatown, so we brought a lot of Korean chains over.
Did they have almost similar products then?
It was very similar. The branding was similar. The products were a little different. There's definitely more here.
Okay.
Definitely more here. Products a little similar, but the branding was the same.
Who would go to those places? Like predominantly Korean people
Mostly
and Korean
Koreans.
origin, like immigrants and kyopos?
Yes, mostly.
Wow.
And myself, I would just park it there and do some work for a little bit. So
that's cool.
Yeah, shout out to anyone who may be in New Jersey.
Yeah, I don't think in the UK I saw any Korean bakeries. Like, obviously just independent ones in Koreatown, but bread in the UK was so easily available. It wasn't very competitive for them to sell it. But I heard that they did open a Korean bakery in Paris, and it kind of became an issue because the bread was very different from the original stuff that they were maybe copying, and Parisians were kind of 50-50. Some were like, that's a monstrosity, and the others were like, oh, this is actually quite nice and different.
Right. That was a nice little risk there. Donna in New York says, I hail from Philadelphia, and she loves their soft pretzels with mustard.
Ooh,
yeah,
mustard?
Yeah, so I think, correct me if I'm wrong out there, but I think that comes from Germany.
Oh,
just that style, like pretzels and mustard. It's actually really good. So these pretzels, they're not like the hard, crunchy pretzels I think that she's talking about. It's the big, soft,
like kind of bready one that you were eating in that long
very
bread.
similar.
And you dip that in mustard.
Yeah, it's not like yellow mustard. I think it's usually like this different style of mustard, at least the ones that I've had. So I would have to agree, very good.
I'm a big fan of all sauces, so if I can dip it in anything, I'm on board. Yana also said, my mum learned how to bake bread from a class, and I remember my dad got a heart attack one night, and my mum left me with bread in the oven, and I came to hospital the next day with really hard bread. Maybe if you leave it in the oven too long. I hope your father was all right, Yana. That sounds like quite an episode.
You said that very casually, too.
Yes, just had one heart attack one time.
Right. Lenny says she smells bread when her neighbor makes breads or cookies.
If your neighbor's making that. That's a good thing.
That has to be very tempting.
Yeah, I
You might
think
want to knock on the door. And
sometimes my neighbours complained in the UK when my mum was making too much kimchi or something like that. Having someone as a baker next door, I don't think there'd be any complaints from anyone, right?
Right.
That would be cool. We've got some more stuff from our listeners. Syska sent in a video as well from Indonesia. Here's a modern bakery, apparently. For some reason, I feel like this is the US. Like, I don't know why, but I went to some petrol station stores and it was very, like, open plan. They seem to have some big donuts and stuff. A home bakery?
Is this in someone's home? Or is this just home style?
Yeah, surely someone's home doesn't have that massive griddle in it. What is that? Yeah, it looks like some kind of burger sandwich. Because we have that cheese toast with salad thing here in Korea, which is pretty good. It sounds a bit weird, but it tastes nice on like the street vendors. Lots of different bread with lots of different toppings, it seems, as well.
Now, are these mostly dessert type breads or are they sandwich breads?
This is your favorite garlic bread. Oh, they do some nice garlic bread in Korea, but again, it's quite sweet.
It is sweet.
Yeah, so if you're not used to it, you might be like, oh, that's not what I was expecting. But again, it tastes pretty good if you get used to it.
Right. I just think, in Korea, it's just a different style. I know a lot of foreigners complain.
Yeah.
I know they do.
Don't like those grumpy people.
Rightfully so, you're entitled to your own opinion. But at the same time, you got to understand that I look at it as a fusion. It's a fusion. You take a concept, whether it be authentic or whatever, and you just kind of make it your own and suit it to the taste of the culture you're in.
I don't think you can judge it by the other breads from France or the UK or the US. It's just Korean bread, know, so just judge it by its own merits. If it tastes good, then that's okay. I don't think it's trying to offend anybody or anything like that, right?
Right.
We've also got some photos from Raul in Indonesia here. These are some empanadas and tartars, two kinds of popular food here. Are empanadas a big thing in the States to sell?
It depends on where. If there's a large Hispanic population, especially there were a lot of Colombians where I stayed in New Jersey.
Okay, so
I've had
a few empanadas.
Man, I've had some really good empanadas.
Is empanada just anything in this bread? Kind of casing?
That's a good question. I feel like the ones I've had, they're mostly usually fried empanadas, but it's the filling that's you can get pork, beef.
Is it kind of like a mandu?
It is. I would say it's a different style of mandu.
Oh, wow. That looks
really nice. But the taste
nice.
is different.
It looks almost like a calzone pizza, where they fold it over. And inside is there sometimes cheese as well?
Right. Yeah.
Then that would be like a pizza, wouldn't it? It looks amazing. And then you've sent in some just regular breads as well. That looks like some kind of seed on the loaf there or something, looking lovely. These look like
biscuits.
Scones. Oh, you call them biscuits,
we
right?
call them biscuits. I know you guys don't call them biscuits.
We call them scones. And these are really popular in Korea at the moment. There's lots of scone bakeries. That looks like a delicious pastry. That's got a name in Korea as well. I forget what it is, but it's sugary on the outside. Oh, is that some kind of jam tart?
Those are really
brilliant.
Good.
I'd love more jam in Korea as well. We do sell it, but I don't think it's as popular as the UK. And then lots of croissants, it seems. They're like chocolate-covered ones with icing sugar as well.
It's about 5,000 calories on that paper.
It looks like it. And then you say in Argentina we've got bread, black bread, sweet bread, scones, and all the others called palmeritas and peppers. And these are the products you can find in the bakery. Oh, I like a good long bread, I used to call it when I was young, but baguettes, those are delicious. Did you have any good ones in the Paris area?
Yeah, I did actually. I think I only had it once, but it was really good, and I had a sandwich.
Oh, a baguette sandwich.
Yeah, it's so good.
The texture of baguettes in Paris, I found, was quite different to baguettes in the UK, where it's sometimes fluffy inside in the UK, whereas in Paris it'd be like lots of holes I'd see inside, and a bit more kind of chewy as well in the texture. Oh, but so good. I could talk about bread forever, I think. Pasta Lover says, I thought scones were harder than biscuits. Is there a difference then? Because what Rao showed us there, I thought was a scone, but do you have scones as well? in the US?
Yeah, we do. I was first introduced to it from one of the, big coffee chains because I didn't grow up around scones. But like biscuits, we would even sometimes make in the house.
Oh, but not scones.
Not scones. So I don't know if that's a common U.S. thing for a lot of families, but like for us, we just biscuits. Living in the South was more of a common thing.
You get them at the fried chicken chains as well,
yes,
right?
Yes, you could, certainly.
I know that a lot of Koreans love that from the Kentucky chain here in Korea. You can get the little squeezy jam that you put onto that biscuit.
Right.
What is the difference, though, with a scone? Because I'd say they're pretty similar.
I think they're totally different because a scone to me is, it's usually a lot more compressed and harder.
The biscuit's a bit more crumbly.
Yeah.
Kind of break it off.
Right, and buttery, and you can use it with jam or put jam in there, or you can even make like a sausage egg, cheese biscuit, something like that. So it's very versatile.
Really?
Yeah.
Because scones are a massive thing in the UK. You have them at afternoon tea, which is like our formal tea set that you have at a hotel or a restaurant for a birthday or some special occasion. And you got the 3-tier plates, that you'll often see in photos of British culture with like sandwiches and desserts. But you have scones with clotted cream and jam. But I've seen loads of scone places in Korea these days with like green tea scones, chocolate scones, like kind of fusion again.
Right.
But they look so good, so delicious. Thank you for all of your messages, guys. Cedric, thank you for your videos as
My
ever.
pleasure. It's always fun.
Next week, the weekend is Seollal, Lunar New Year. So the topic is going to be linked to that, is it?
It is. So I'll be probably heading to a local market and seeing what they're doing to prepare for the holidays.
Nice. Yeah, seeing maybe what things you can buy to prepare your own stuff at home, or maybe some pre-prep like John and stuff like that. The traditional markets, you'll have to go and take a look, see what's out there. We will see you next Wednesday. Have a great week, Cedric.
Have a great week, everybody.
We're going to play We Are the Night now. This is Tiramisu Cake.